Were you offered the role of Emmett Cullen in Twilight?
Of Emmett?
Was it
Yes.
You were?
Yeah.
And you didn't take it?
Yeah.
And why didn't you take it?
Because I was getting ready to start my first season at UC Irvine for baseball. And I would have had to miss the first 4 weeks of the season.
Was it a tough decision?
Yeah. Yes. I was driving into the parking structure to go to my Greek mythology class, and my agent, or my manager called. I think my manager called and said, "Hey, so they're casting this guy, Robert Pattinson, for Edward, who I had auditioned for. They're like, so they're casting Robert for Edward, but they want you to play the brother, Emmett." And I said, "Okay. When do they need an answer?" And they're like, "Pretty quick." So I think this was like, I want to say this was January. So I skipped my class and I called.
You miss Agamemnon and Clytemnestra and all the Greek tragedies.
I still passed the class, thankfully.
Good.
But
I barely did too.
So I skipped class. I called my parents. I called some family friends. I called my buddy who was a scout with the White Sox and asked him, like, "Hey, if I do this, what does that look like?" Because so at this point, so we're 2 weeks out from the season starting. UC Irvine, I just transferred from Arizona State. UC Irvine had eliminated us in Omaha the year before. We were preseason top 10, picked to go back to Omaha, and I had just been named the starting second baseman. And the guy who was behind me at the time was hurt. So I get this call, "We need you to come up there," and I was going to miss the first 4 weeks of the season. So I skipped class. I made all these calls, and then I had to go to practice. I had to go to weights. And I was like, I remember sitting outside the locker room in the hallway that went up to the press box. And I was sobbing with my buddy and my roommate at the time, Sean Madigan. And I was sitting there and I was telling him what was going on. And he's like, "Dude, I don't know. I don't know what to do." And I talked to my agent and he was like, "Look," he's like, it was kind of like, not only like an indie film, but it was like, it wasn't Twilight. No one knew. Big, right. He's like, "Look, it could be something that comes and goes and no one really ever cares about, or it could be the biggest thing in the world." It was the biggest thing in the world. So it was as I sat there and I was sobbing outside the locker room. I think one other guy came by and was like, "You good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine, man. I'm fine." And then I'm a pretty chipper, upbeat, energetic guy, very optimistic all the time. And so at weights, it was the one time where I was just I didn't talk to anybody. I was so in my head and I was just I looked at the wall and I saw what I had to do and I was just doing the sets and putting it down, walking away, coming back, doing my set, putting it down. And a couple people went up to my buddy. I was like, is Heck okay? And he's like, "Yeah, he's figuring something out." So go through the whole day and I finally talked to my buddy who was the scout again. And he's like, "Look, end of the day, if you go and do this, Gillespie might let you come back and play at Irvine." He's like, "But as a scout," he's like, "I'm gonna have a real hard time convincing an organization that we should draft a guy who, left to go do a movie right before the season started." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I get it." And so I called Catherine Hardwick and I was like, "Hey," she's like, "Are you coming up to Oregon?" And I was like, "Catherine," I was like, "I'm so grateful. I really appreciate it." I was like, "But I've got 30 guys here who have been killing themselves for the last few months to make a run at this World Series again. And I'd be letting every one of them down if I left. And I can't do that." And she's like, "We got a baseball scene in the movie." And I was like, I know. I was like, but I hope you guys have a great time. I really appreciate it. I was like, but I gotta respectfully say no.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you don't regret it?
No,
not at all.
I had strictly, for that whole season, for my whole life, that life experience, I don't regret it just because I got to continue to play ball. And already when I left, I felt like I stopped too soon. I went through an identity crisis for 7 years after I stopped playing. So I needed those years. And then it led to another movie, which I'll tell you about. But just for this one at bat that I had against LSU in the Super Regional, I'll never forget that at bat.
What happened?
I'll never forget it. So it was, we'd won the first game.
What number you were? Eight?
I wore 14 was my number. 14 was my number. And then when I got to college, 14 was retired at ASU. So I picked 32 because I wore 14 because my older brother wore 14. Then I went to college, and in college, he went from 14 to 32. 14 was retired at ASU, so I wore 32. Then I went to UC Irvine, and our Friday night starter was number 32, so I picked number 4 because somebody else already had 14. So
I said 4.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
So I went from 14, 32, and then 4. So
I just threw it out there.
Good guess. It's good guess. Okay. Lou Gehrig, man. And so what was I saying? At LSU. So we win the first game. It's a super regional, so best of 3 goes to Omaha. We win the first game. Second game, we're up 7-4 in the top of the ninth. And we're the home team that game because it switches. So we need 3 outs and we go to Omaha. We're up by 3. And we had our All-American closer on the mound, had not given up more than 1 run in the 9th inning the whole season. So we go, LSU gets this crazy, crazy rally. The place that we lost, what happened was we actually would have got out of it, except it was so loud there. Our third baseman couldn't hear our coach trying to move him back. So me and one other guy with like 1 out and bases loaded sprint to the end of the dugout and we're like, Gish! And we give him the sign to back up. As he looks over and sees the sign and goes to take his first step, the guy hits a chopper that goes this far over his glove at third base, and these runs score. And if we had him back where we wanted him, he would have been like 1 step in, catch it, step on third, go to first, or catch it, second to first, out of the game, we go to Omaha. So it goes this far over his glove and the inning keeps going. So we end up going down 9-7. And the guy that they had on the mound had been pitching for, I think like the last 3 innings, and had gone like 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 1-2-3, and just like 9 guys
put him back
sat him down. So he goes back out for the bottom of the 9th, and my coach goes, "Heck, you're pinch hitting, you're in." And I was like,
"How many men on?"
Nobody to start the inning. So I hadn't. Trying to think if I'd had an at bat in that series yet. I don't think I'd had an at bat in that series yet.
Now batting number 4, Tyler Hoechlin.
Yep. So I go up to hit. It is the first time in my life where they say like you can't hear yourself think. Can't hear yourself think. You can't. It was so loud there. It's this old Alex Box Stadium. They had this like this tin roof on it, and the fans there, dude. So I hate LSU because we eventually lost that series.
Right.
But if I could go back and play college baseball again, oh my God. LSU. First place I would go. The environment there was insane. And I can't say that because actually the first place, go to UC Irvine. My buddy's coach there now. So if you're watching this and you play ball, go to Irvine. Those guys are great.
But what happened at the bat?
So I go up, I have the take sign. Guy throws a ball. So then obviously take sign again. Ball 2. Take sign again. Guy throws, you can watch it on YouTube. He clearly throws ball 3. It wasn't like maybe. It was like, it's clearly ball 3. But the umpire called it a strike. And so like the announcers even go, "It's 3-0." And they go, oh no, he called that a strike. It's 2-1. So now I have the green light to swing. Guy throws another ball. So now it's 3-1. So now I have the take sign again. So now he throws another strike. So now it's a full count. And I've really not even been allowed to think about swinging yet. This guy's gotten like the last 9 guys out in a row. So I'm sitting there. The place gets that loud to where like every thought is just gone. It's just rattle. Like you almost feel like your eyes rattling. It was that loud. And this guy throws a fastball and I hit it. And I thought I got it pretty good. I didn't know I got it that good. The left fielder is like on a dead sprint to left center gap. And I just head down. I'm thinking like triple. If it's off the wall and it creams, like I'm on third base. So I'm just sprinting. And I hit first base and I look up and I just see this guy on the ground and the fans going crazy. And I'm thinking like, what happened? Like so then I kind of hit second base and I keep running to third. And my coach is like, "He got it, man. He got it." And I was like, "What?" And I watched the replay. The left fielder was a guy named Jared Mitchell, who eventually I believe was a 1st-round draft pick. He was also a wide receiver for LSU football.
Most amazing catch you'd ever say.
Oh, dude. Him and this guy, I want to say his name was Landry in center field. They, in that series, made so many ridiculous catches. It was outrageous. But he full sprint into left center gap and just laid out and like into the wall, like hit his neck and caught the ball. But I'll never forget that at bat. And so years later, Everybody Wants Some is casting the Richard Linklater.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
And
girlfriend
they
loves
were like,
that movie.
It was a fun movie, man. It was a fun movie. But the audition for it was there's a very long story behind this. I don't even have time
baseball
for it, but
audition.
Yeah, to a degree. But originally they weren't going to see me for it. And so I kind of had to we persuaded them to let me send in the self-tape essentially. And the thing was like, we want to hear like an anecdote from high school, if you have any sports experience and, 1 or 2 other things. And they're like, but it needs to be under 5 minutes. And so I kept trying to do this thing at home by myself. And I couldn't get it under 5 minutes because it was just like, it just kept going on. So my girlfriend, who was an actress at the time, I was like, I can't get this done. Can you come help me? And so she comes over and I was like, I feel like I'm trying to answer each one of these questions, but like my life was baseball, like in high school. Like it's all the same. All these questions are one thing to me. She's like, then say that.
Yeah.
So I did. I got this thing and I said, hey, look, I'm trying to do this format you guys are asking for. I was like, but honestly, like they're all so blended together for me. I'm like, my life was baseball. Like I ate it, I slept it, I dreamt it. Like that was like that was my life. I was like, so anything is this. And then an experience I talked about was that at bat at LSU. And then I from what they told me, I ended up being the first one cast for that film.